talking about destiny, yeah, and freedom.
Yes.
I think they're two antithetical to each other.
Destiny and freedom.
Yeah.
It would seem so. It would seem so. And so many of the ideas, the big ideas that involve the human spirit seem to be a bit of a paradox in that way. They seem to cancel each other out. How can you be free and yet have a destiny? How can you make your own decision yet have a decision waiting for you to be made? And that's a mystery. That's a mystery. But the beauty of it, and that mystery, the beauty of those paradoxes, is the moment when they interconnect, when the snake bites its own tail, when you think of a sentence like, this statement is false, or the preceding statement is true, the following statement is false. Those moments when things cancel each other out, that brink, that connection, that moment and the energy there, the feeling of that paradox is actually perhaps the whole meaning of life. Now, I can't explain it to you, but I would urge you to not discount the value or the importance of ideas that result in paradox as being illegitimate, because most of the biggest ideas, such as no one should make definitive statements, I mean, that's a definitive statement right there. So most of the big ideas can be reduced to paradox, but instead of that being like a roadblock and a depressing end to that idea, I think it should be a hint that somehow perhaps the very nature of consciousness, or of what it is to be a human being, resides in that paradox, and that we can really enjoy and thrive in that.
Is there kind of one piece of advice that you find yourself giving more often than others? I mean, is there do people have certain favourite topics to ask you about? Or?
Yeah, well, it's changed. It's changed over the years because I learn new ideas. So what I would have said a year ago is much different maybe than what I would have said now, or maybe I just wouldn't repeat the same thing. I always am trying to find new ways to keep it interesting for myself. One aspect I've talked about a lot, I think there's dog feces. Do you smell that?
I mean, I dreamed I was at work last night, and I wasn't at work last night.
Oh, wow. Do you like your job?
Fucking hate my job.
Okay, well, this is a great situation. Let's talk about this a little bit. You don't have to give any kind of private information that you don't
Give
want.
me all the private information you want, mate. So what's your college?
It's a college?
Hole. It's a hole.
So why have you been working at this job that you haven't cared for?
Because it's a fucking miracle they hired me, mate, and no one else would set me on. And they wouldn't if I left.
Do you feel like there's something more for you to do in this world?
To make a nice pizza.
Pizza? I like pizza. New York pizza. The idea is you don't have... Do you feel like you're working at this job because you have to, or because that you choose to?
Well, obviously I choose to. I mean, I chose to have a CV there, and I chose not to quit when I should have quit, and I'm just still there, really.
I urge you to pay more attention to the very small and potentially crazy-seeming impulses that tell you to quit the job, that tell you to go and do something completely different, that tell you that you can abandon everything that you thought was holding you onto this earth. I urge you to abandon them and follow that more subtle impulse and follow that more discreet and quiet urging that's telling you there's something more for you, and go and do it, because you're very young, much like a tender, chubby-cheeked baby.
Absolutely.
Much like I am. And there's so much more. What's the one thing that almost every old, even the most successful old person would say? They say, I wish I would have taken more risks when I was younger, because they realize once they get to age 80, age 90, age 100, that there was nothing to be afraid of all along. And why did they not go for more? So please, quit the job if you don't like it.
You ought to speak to a bloke called Kieran.
And you can blame it on me. You can tell them that I told you to quit the job, and they can contact me.
Do you fancy saying that down the phone tomorrow?
Sure.
Ever give to someone?
Yeah, give me the number afterwards when we're at the movie poster somewhere. I'll talk to him.
You got a fucking deal, mate. You got a fucking deal.
I'll tell him.
This is fucking amazing.
Yay! Yay! All this is our opportunity to make each other feel good, to encourage each other to follow our impulses, to remove the fears, remove the barricades that say, no, that's crazy. No, you shouldn't do that. No, what would people think? What would your parents think? What would your friends think? What would your girlfriend think? What would your wife think? To remove those obstacles that keep us from following our true will. Anyone else?
Well, one idea that I've been talking about a lot that I think is been throughout is that we have a choice of how we think, and that's the great thing about being human. And as far as we're aware, I mean, maybe other animals have the kind of self-awareness that we do. And even if they didn't, who's to say that what they have, they might have something even more advanced than we do. But we're aware that humans have this ability to think and then think about what they're thinking. And that creates this loop, and that might be sort of human consciousness. Mm-hmm. And so that idea is very powerful and exciting to me, because then we have some amount of control over what we experience. And if we think about our perceptions, and me looking at you right now, I'm using my imagination to interpret the visual scene and put it together and have some kind of understanding. So I get to collaborate in that way. I get to make up the picture as it appeals to me and as it appears to me. So with that in mind, if I say I want to see things like this, with enough focus and effort, I can kind of see things the way that I want to see them. Mm-hmm. And if you, in other words, look for fun and nice things that you like, you'll probably see them. And if you look for upsetting things or things that aren't so fun to you, you'll probably see those as well. So that maybe is the most basic idea, I think, in all self-help, is trying to remind people that they have the power.
You said to the gentleman at the front, you basically sort of encouraged him to quit his job. The hypothetical is, okay, the gentleman at the front's got 2 young, like, toddlers at home who rely on his income. He can't go and get another job, as he's convinced that he can't. He goes on, those toddlers then suffer for that. Would you then take responsibility for that and then regret what you just said?
Well, I might take responsibility for it. I might not regret it, but I have faith. And faith is a mysterious and somewhat intangible, yet very powerful idea that he will be able to get another job. And that not only will he be able to get another job, but that job is going to be a job that he truly and deeply enjoys. And because he enjoys it so much, he thrives at it. And because he thrives at it, it becomes his passion. And he can't pull himself away from it except to care for the 2 toddlers. And because of this passion that he devotes to the job, he raises himself to a level of success that he never would have been able to achieve at this job that he didn't enjoy. And if we all have faith in our passions, that the activities which give us joy, if we can commit to those and have faith that those activities are not just novel, fun things to do on your off time or your free time while you're going to your job that you don't like, if we have faith that those impulses are in fact not only what we're meant to do, but the only way we can be very, very successful, I think that he and all of us will be able to thrive and care for the toddlers, fatten them up until they're just the fattest, rosiest cheeked babies you've ever seen.
I really encourage people and myself to try to remove all barriers, all fears, all paranoia that would keep us from making that connection with that potential within ourselves. And all those beliefs that say, oh, this is silly, this is crazy, this can't possibly work. We can listen to that voice, or we can hear it and then say, maybe that is the case, but I'm gonna just do it anyway. And even if it feels like the craziest thing in the world, maybe that's a sign that I'm really onto something.
Yes, please, oh, and then the lady in the blue.
What's the biggest decision you've regretted?
Regret? Oh, that's a great idea there, regret. I don't know that I can think of anything I really regret right now. I mean, there's been times when I spoke unkindly to people I really cared about, and I didn't really feel very good about that. So maybe I could regret those kind of moments. When I was growing up, I stole a lot of stuff from different stores. Even here, actually, I smoked a cigarette backstage, and I figured it was probably not allowed, but I did it anyway. I kind of regret that. Oh no! Oh no! Oh. But really, regret just seems to be a moment where we distract ourselves from our opportunity and our potential in this time and pull ourselves back to maybe unpleasant times in the past.
So at the end of the day, there's really no risk beyond your own embarrassment, maybe, in trying some of these ideas out for size in your head. And I think it's kind of fun. It's like you're in your own movie.
Do you get embarrassed these days? Ever?
Well, sort of. I mean, I like setting up situations where I could be humiliated, because that to me is like living on the edge, and that's always really appealed to me. if I create everything to be so safe for myself where there's no risk, then how is that really going to be interesting for anybody else to watch either? So I think performance is largely based on the performer taking a risk, whether it's the risk of being embarrassed or humiliated or messing up or any of those ideas. I definitely want to stay engaged in that. And doing talks like this or pursuing other avenues that I hadn't done before, it's usually based on me confronting some kind of fear in myself, like maybe this is stupid, maybe people will laugh at this, maybe people will think it's dumb. And if I can identify that there is that risk in there, that's usually how I decide to go with it. If it feels like it could be potentially humiliating, I want to go for it.
Oh, you sir, yes.
If you could travel back in time, would you change any decisions that you've already made?
No, for sure not, because then I wouldn't be here. And this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. So, and I really mean that. That's not exaggerating. This, to me, is the best thing that I have ever done. To be able to come here to London and do something that conceptually seems so absurd, even to me. To come into a room, this guy who had songs about puking and partying and being able to talk about destiny and paradox with a room full of people in Madame JoJo's. This, to me, is a miracle, so I'm very grateful. And I wonder if I had not done exactly what I had done to get here, this might not have happened. So there's nothing I would change, because I wouldn't have been able to see you and you wouldn't have been able to ask that question to me. With that being said, cheers, I'm going to put on my shoes. And when I put on my shoes, I'm going to do a little dance. And I'm going to sing a little song. And I would like to encourage you all to sing along. You can dance with me. You can even come up onto this stage, as long as you pay very close attention to the delicate lighting and the other equipment up here. And this is a very beautiful venue. We want to keep it very safe and cushioned. But I'm going to put on these shoes and do a dance for you. And this is almost like a little bit of a preview to what you might be able to enjoy tomorrow night at the Push Club at Astoria 2, where I'll be performing a solo set. It's a bit of a celebration. And I would like this to be a reminder of the joy and pleasure that we can find every day. And I would like you to really, really understand once more how grateful I am to have been able to come here to London and do something as potentially absurd as this lecture and have it be so fun and so pleasurable.